Welcome to Toronto Talk Sports and More. This is our very first podcast. Wow, this is amazing. Guys, I'm so excited. First of all, let me introduce myself and my partners, who are also my co-hosts, who are here with me in studio. Let's introduce ourselves, guys, and tell the audience a little bit about us. Let me go first. My name is Zion Hezekiah. I go by the nickname Hez or Hezi. I've been married to my lovely wife for 4,441 days.
Wow.
I kid you not. I have a thing with numbers, and you guys will come to see that as you get to know me. We're blessed with 4 beautiful children. I'm a Toronto guy, love my city. My favorite sport is football, and my favorite team is the NBA's Los Angeles Lakers. Go ahead, guys.
Nice. Thank you, Hez. Much appreciated. My name is Milan. Everyone calls me Milo. You can catch me on Instagram as Milan the Man. Toronto born and raised. 5 Gate Road is where I spent most of my days. Now live a little bit north of the city in the Woodbridge, but I guess you could say I moved out of the hood and into the wood. Very passionate about sports. I'm sure our listeners are going to learn very shortly that when it comes to the NFL, I bleed black and yellow, as I love my Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm of East Indian descent, so shout out to all my brown peeps tuning in.
Oh, boy.
I'm no Nav Bhatia, but we'll definitely represent for the city as much as possible. And I got to tell you, Hez, I got to say I'm very excited right now. I'm more excited than Tristan Thompson is in a New York City nightclub. This has been about 15 years in the making, and we've always talked sports with each other, and now we have a platform to do it all and engage for the sick. So I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. Courtz, what's up, man?
Thanks, Milo. Courtney Scarlett here, a.k.a. Courtz. So happy to be here with you guys. Really excited to get this show started. I'm a big sports fan. Football is my main passion. I'm a huge Eagles fan. And right now, I'm still celebrating that great Super Bowl win against your Pats. How do you feel?
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Don't worry. You guys know my team's going to be there next year. So.
Yeah, so we'll get to football, I'm sure, in a future show. Thanks a lot there, guys. And likely on a future show, we'll kind of get into details in terms of how the three of us connected, how we all know each other.
Sure.
Especially you and me, Courtz. We have a very interesting connection.
Very interesting.
That we'll certainly let our audience know as we progress in Toronto Talk Sports and More. So once again, this is our very first podcast. It's been a long time in the making. Before I get into who we are and what we're all about, audience, on behalf of Milo and Courtz, we'd like to sincerely thank everybody for all their support in helping us get here to our very first show. It's truly been a collaborative effort. Family members, friends, colleagues, and the such. I don't want to even begin to name names because I know I'm going to leave somebody out. Even now, as we're recording this podcast, we have how many people in studio with us right now? There's about 8 of us here, different persons playing different roles. We just want to thank everyone for being a part of this, those who are here and those who are helping out behind the scenes, helping promote. It's just been, it's been amazing. So we just want to really give everybody, great big thank you.
It's been a fun journey.
Absolutely. Sure. So let's get into TTS, guys, Toronto Talk Sports and More, what we're all about. So basically, real quick, we're a podcast show. We discuss sports. So we do audio and video podcasting, discussing sports in an interactive way with a Toronto-centric theme. We have a segment called And More, where we discuss fun and exciting things outside of the realm of sports. So we're not totally limited to sports talk. We'll probably spend, some time, maybe 15 to 20% of our time discussing fun and exciting things outside of the realm of sports. We're also connected with different affiliate partners, different companies that we'll kind of get into more as we go over the next couple of weeks. And through our affiliates, we'll be offering certain prizes and surprises and giveaways and a whole bunch of fun stuff.
Love it.
All that good stuff. So we have a lot of things to share and a lot of things as we proceed over the next little while. So here's the thing, just to kind of lay the platform from the very beginning so our audience members know exactly what to expect from Toronto Talk Sports and More. So we plan to release 2 podcasts weekly, so 2 audio podcasts every week. And our regular schedule is on Thursdays. We plan to release a podcast on Thursdays as well as Sundays. So Sundays and Thursdays, that's our schedule in terms of releasing our audio podcasts. We plan to have one show during the week. It's just kind of like a regular roundtable discussion talking about current sports topics, this and that. And our second show, which likely will be our Sunday show, will be more of a debate type show. So it'll be more of, more engaging, probably a little bit more live, a little bit more, hyped up, back and forth. And interestingly, that particular show, and this is really makes our platform unique, we have a situation where we're going to have a platform where our audience members can apply through our website to come on the show, to engage in the conversation, have a seat at the table, and, talk sports. So basically debate with us on whatever the topic is we're debating.
It's going to get a little heated, I think.
Let's hope so. Bring the fire, bring the heat. We'll also be doing one video podcast a month. Likely it'll be somewhat of an interview format, interview segment, so we'll look out for a little bit more information on that. Before we kind of get into what we really want to talk about today and really get into the show, we do want to let our audience members know our website, which is TorontoTalkSports.com, which was supposed to be up by now, but due to a lot of things, technical considerations, and we have guys who are working very, very hard behind the scenes, getting everything set up the way that we want it. Unfortunately, it's not going to be up while this podcast is released. The official launch date for the site is Thursday, April the 19th. So next week, Thursday, April the 19th is the official date that our website with all the bells and whistles and all the nice features, all that good stuff will be available. So you'll certainly hear a lot more about that. Just before we go, I do want to wrap up this segment. As I said, we do have a situation where we're allowing members of the audience or the public to come on the show and engage with us and talk sports and join our debate program. So if you live in the GTA and you'd like to be a featured guest on our show, please send us an email at info@torontotalksports.com. So info@torontotalksports.com with your full name, your phone number. And next week, Wednesday is actually when we're going to do the recording for the Thursday show release on the 19th. And the topic of the show is... Milo? We're going to be discussing
NBA awards.
Exactly. So the NBA regular season awards. So what do we have there? We have the Rookie of the Year,
Defensive
Coach
Player
of the Year, Defensive Player, MVP, Six-Man Award, all that good stuff. So if you want to get in on
We
the
should do a Best
conversation-
Dressed. Best Dressed Award as well.
Best dressed player. Well, we know Russell Westbrook gets that hands down. But as I said, if you live in the GTA and you'd love to be featured on that show, send us an email at info@torontotalksports.com. Once our website is fully set up, there'll be a lot more information regarding that particular situation on the site, and you can easily do it directly through torontotalksports.com. All right, guys, so let's do a little overview of today's episode, what we're going to discuss today. We're going to do a little bit of an NBA season in review. It's been a great NBA basketball season. We'll discuss that. Oh, yes, absolutely. We'll touch on the NHL. The Toronto Maple Leafs are back in the playoffs. Woohoo! Go Leafs go. So we'll touch on that. Collectively, we'll share our NBA playoff predictions. So who we predict is going to come out of the East, who's going to come out of the West, who's going to win it all. So we'll discuss that. And our final segment on this show is going to be our And More segment. The topic for today is going to be dating in Toronto. So dating in Toronto. And we have a very special guest joining us in studio. So stay tuned for that. So we do want to let our audience know that we are recording this episode right now on Wednesday, April the 11th, 2018. So it is pre-recorded. So by the time this airs tomorrow, which will be the 12th of April, all of the NBA playoff matches will be set. So as it stands right now, as we're recording this, there's still some games going on and whatnot. We're in the studio Wednesday evening, and by the time it airs, everything will be set. So let's get right to it, guys. NBA season in review. Let's begin by talking about the hometown Toronto Raptors.
North over everybody.
Oh, yeah, baby. We the North. It's been a great season. It's been a wonderful season for the Raptors. Franchise record in wins. They're tied with the Houston Rockets for the best home record in the league. That's very impressive. They played great, both ends of the floor. They've had a really, really great season from start to finish. No real major lapses in terms of, real long losing streaks and whatever. They've been pretty consistent. So what really stood out for you, Milo, this year for the Toronto Raptors? And then after, perhaps we'll get into, some what we expect from them in terms of the playoffs. But what stood out for you in the Raptors?
Yeah, so, to me, two things stand out. It's been DeMar DeRozan, once again, taking his game to another level. We hear so much about DeMar going into the summer every year, working on different aspects of his game, and he's certainly done that again, adding the three-point shot. But I think the biggest thing, and everybody knows this already, is their bench. Their bench with Fred VanVleet, Jakob Poeltl, who's my personal favorite player.
Love that guy.
Yeah, on the Raptors, he's just so fundamental.
Amazing.
He's got that volleyball background. You've You've got CJ Miles as their 3-point shooter.
CJ Kilometers.
CJ Kilometers, that's right. So their bench has been really what stood out for me. And I look forward to some big things in the playoffs. I'm excited to watch them. I've been courtside to 2 games this year personally, and the energy and the electricity in the building is just unbelievable.
Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What sayest thou, Mr. Courtz?
Definitely. It's been a solid season, as you alluded to. You know, franchise record for wins, franchise record for home wins, franchise record for road wins. And when it comes down to the playoffs, I mean, if you cannot win on the road, you're not going to go far in the playoffs. And the Toronto Raptors have proven that we can win on the road. So that's going to be...
And even though they have home court, they're going to still have to win on the road. So
100%.
that's
100%.
A big thing.
I think one of the key factors for us to make a deep run in the playoffs this year, guys, is the play of DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. I have utmost confidence in DeMar DeRozan, but as we've seen over the past couple seasons, preseason, postseasons, Kyle Lowry just has not shown up.
And why is that, young man?
You know what? We need to ask Kyle Lowry that.
Let's bring him in studio. Toronto Talk Sports, baby.
But in all fairness, he's been a little bit banged up as well, right? He had the ankle issue last year in the playoffs.
Excuses.
Definitely, but he needs to play like the all-star that he
Absolutely.
is. If he cannot play like the all-star that he is, the Toronto Raptors will not go far.
Let's break it down, Courtz. What specifically do we or should we expect from Kyle Lowry? Like, you know, maybe in terms of numbers. Obviously, I think he really does bring some toughness and some leadership to the squad. But what would Raptor fans, what would you personally be content with? 15-7? I mean, what do we expect, or what should we expect from Kyle Lowry?
Well, definitely. I mean, if Kyle Lowry can average, let's just say, you know, maybe 18-8 per game, I think that's going to be really solid. He needs to be doing it on both ends, offensively and defensively. He's our main horse, and he really needs to step up his game for us to have success in the playoffs.
And he needs to cut it out with the complaining also. You know, I'm a Kyle Lowry guy. I love the Raptors. I love my Raptors. But this guy, every single time he thinks there's a foul, he complains to the referee. Listen, Kyle, if you're listening, I hope you are. Cut it out. Let's play some basketball.
Name one, and I hate the complaining as well, Milo, but come on, let's not pick on Kyle for that. This seemed to, for me anyway, the year of NBA complaining. Like every single player from the top down, from LeBron James, you know, the number one, you know, the main guy, the best player in the league. He's arguably the biggest whiner, the biggest complainer.
I disagree.
Oh, come on.
I would say Kyle Lowry and Mr. Kendall Jenner, Blake Griffin. They're the 2 biggest whiners in the league.
Oh, my word.
But, you know, I respect Kyle and what he's done for the Raptors. I'm a Raptors guy, as you guys know. But at the end of the day, let's just play some ball. Forget about the referees. Let Dwayne Casey worry about that. And let's win some games.
And I'm glad you mentioned Coach. I'm a big Dwayne Casey fan. I know there's some fans that aren't too hot on him or whatever the case. He's, in my opinion, been the greatest coach or the best coach in Raptors franchise history. I think he's done a great job.
Hands down.
Absolutely.
I was going to go with Kevin O'Neal, that guy that broke the land in Indiana.
Well, there's a name we haven't heard in a long time. All right, guys. So the Raptors, we expect them to. We're expecting some big things. They had a great regular season, as we said, and if they're not able to, go far or deep into the playoffs, then it'll all be for naught. What about the rest of the league, guys? As I said, it's been a wonderful season, very engaging, very exciting NBA season. Milo, what stood out for you this year? What team, or perhaps even what player, really stood out for you this NBA season? Maybe something that you didn't expect going into this campaign.
Sure. Well, I think the one player that really stood out to me, and there's a ton of them, but the one that really stood out to me was Damian Lillard of the Portland Trail
Love
Blazers.
that guy.
He, for some reason, guys, he always seems to be underappreciated in terms of what he does.
Very underrated.
Came out of Weber State in 2012. 6th overall, and what this 3-time All-Star continues to do year in and year out is amazing. He's 5th in scoring this year, 26.8 per game, 11th in assists, at 6.5 per game, 3rd in free throw percentage out of the entire league, and tied for 3rd in minutes at about 37 a game.
I see someone's done their homework. But let me ask you this question, Milo.
Sure.
Is Dame Lillard the best rapper in the history of the NBA?
Absolutely. I can drop some bars.
Drop them bars, baby.
I'll gladly do a freestyle with him. No problem.
All right.
Good, but, his team is going to battle for the 3rd seed. And when you look at the overall teams in the West with more talent than Portland, OKC, Minnesota, San Antonio, heck, I would even say Denver has more talent than Portland. It's amazing that Lillard has kept them in the 3rd or 4th spot. He's always considered a borderline all-star for some reason. But, it's going to be interesting to see with Damian Lillard.
Awesome. And what about team? What team kind of really stood out for you this year in the league?
To me, I'm going to go with the Utah Jazz.
Okay.
They've been the surprise team of the NBA along with the Sixers. Quinn Snyder, I know we're going to get into some NBA awards next week, guys, but Quinn Snyder, he's my pick for Coach of the Year.
All right.
I know rap fans are going to get on me, Coach Casey, this and that. I love Coach Casey, but think about what they've gone through. Losing Gordon Hayward, taking his talents to Boston, George Hill to Sacramento, now he's with King James, right? They lost Joe Johnson. Who do they add? Donovan Mitchell? This guy comes out of nowhere. And he's done an amazing job. Ricky Rubio. So, to be in the position that they are is really incredible. And, Jay Crowder, let's put it this way. Tristan Thompson's got more action the last 72 hours than Jay Crowder.
Boy. Back to TT.
Quinn Snyder, kudos to you, sir.
Absolutely. Courtz, take it from there. What stood out for you this NBA season in terms of maybe one team and one player that really caught your attention?
Yes, and so the player that really stood out to me this season was Anthony Davis, the Brow. I mean, this guy just had an absolutely unbelievable season, and especially since Boogie Cousins went down, AD really stepped up.
I like this April Fool's joke, right?
Shave
that brow.
Shaving off that brow.
And he's been healthy for the most part. He's been out of a few games, but he played quite a few games this year.
Absolutely. He's been an absolute beast. Second in scoring, fifth in rebounds. I think he's first in blocks. He's been an all-around player. And mark my words right now, guys.
All right.
Within the next 3 years, I can guarantee that AD will win an MVP.
AD will win an MVP. All right. Hey, no arguments for me there. All right. What about teams?
In terms of teams,
what a bold prediction that is.
In terms of teams that stand out for me, Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, you all know that I'm a big Eagles fan, so I'm keeping my allegiance here with Philadelphia.
Terrible.
But what a great turnaround that they've had this year. Was it just 2 years ago they won like 3 games for the entire season?
Something along those lines.
Whatever it was. But these guys, they have a 50-win season, their first 50-win season since the 2001 season. They've been playing amazing. They are trusting the process in Philadelphia.
Absolutely. So let me go ahead and share my pick. So in terms of player, and thanks again there, Courtz, what really stood out for me, or a player stood out for me, I think I alluded to this earlier, is Mr. LBJ. Nice. Mr. LeBron James. Guys, check this out. In his 15th season in the league, his 15th year in the league, LeBron James led the league in minutes per game. He was for the first time in his career, he's played in all 82 games. Average of about 27.7 points, I believe 7.4 rebounds, 7.2 assists, 18 triple doubles. I know that he was aiming at the beginning of the season for 80% of the free throw line. I believe he finished with just over 73%. But he just had an amazing year all in all. To be the best player in the league and to be this dominant in his 15th year, we've never seen this before. But I am going to actually take a little jab at him. You guys will remember a couple of days ago when they were playing in New York, and he did that subtle little jab at Enes Kanter.
On the shoe?
On the shoes, yeah. What did he put? I'm king. Yeah, I'm not necessarily a fan of that. I think that didn't necessarily show a lot of class.
Well, what about
there.
in Philly the other day? He had a chance to tie the game with like 5 seconds left. Missed both free throws.
Absolutely. That wasn't very good at all. So he's not necessarily the most reliable free throw shooter, but I'm talking just in terms of his dominance in his 15th season, and once again, leading the league in minutes, the amount of triple doubles, and just what he's been to that team. I mean, he is the Cleveland Cavaliers. They've went through obviously a lot of changes roster-wise and whatnot.
Quickly, I know you're a Lakers guy. LeBron or Kobe?
we'll get into that in a future show.
All right, okay.
I won't get into that right now, but we'll say Kobe. In terms of teams, guys, real quick, the team that really stood out for me this year is the Celtics, the Boston Celtics. Especially after losing Gordon Hayward, the run that they went on, and they even went on a stretch this year with 16 straight wins. They've been consistently dominant on the defensive end for most of the season. The amount of injuries that they've suffered, obviously Kyrie out for the rest of the season. Gordon Hayward once again. Marcus Smart has missed a lot of games. Just their consistency overall, particularly on the defensive end and holding on to that number 2 spot in the East. Absolutely amazing. If you want to talk about Coach of the Year candidates, Brad Stevens will give Quinn Snyder a run for his money any day of the week. It's going to be interesting, but Boston Celtics have been, my surprise team.
Let's just say Marcus wasn't so smart when he smashed up his hand.
We could certainly say that. Absolutely. Awesome, guys.
All right, guys, switching gears to the NHL playoffs. I know we're all excited to see what the Leafs can do this postseason. But before we talk about that, we at Toronto Talk Sports would like to send our deepest condolences to the players, families, and everyone affected by the tragic fatal accident involving the Humboldt Broncos. Absolute devastation for that small town in Saskatchewan. We pray for the healing and comfort for that entire community. Now back to the NHL. Milo, how do the Leafs match up with the Bruins? We all know about that third period collapse in Game 7 from a few years back. How do the Leafs avoid something like that again?
Yeah, Courtz, obviously, this is a huge matchup. First of all, let me just say this. The folks in the Six are starving to drink out of Lord Stanley's mug. They are dying since 1967.
It's been a long time.
It's been a while. But I think the Leafs here are in a pretty good position. 4 years ago, they lost that Game 7 of their series to Boston and blew a 4-1 lead in the third period. It was just devastating for Leaf fans. Jonathan Bernier was in goal. But this year, it just seems this team is more mature beyond the years.
I think we have a different team this year. So
absolutely. I know they're starting on the road. And Leafs fans, you guys have have a right to feel that your team got hosed with this matchup. But Gary Bettman, he wanted to create rivalries, and this is how the seeding is now. The Leafs are playing one of the best teams in the NHL. Coach Bruce Cassidy for the Bruins has them coming in at 5-3-2 in their last 10 games. So they've been rolling. Patrice Bergeron is dangerous. They've still got Brad Marchand, who could be electric on any given night. And, that big lug Zdeno Chara, he's a handful at the point. So it's going to be tough, but I like the Leafs' chances this time around.
Definitely be a tough matchup, but I'm definitely excited to see what the Leafs can do. Now, Milo, is Austin Matthews going to be a factor, or does Boston have the ability to shut him down?
Well, to me, I think Austin Matthews is the difference maker in this series, Courts. The task of shutting him down is going to be a complete team effort for Boston, but it's going to be more in the hands of Zdeno Chara. They only matched up once this year because of injuries, but in that one matchup, Chara went to work. He was physical with Matthews. The Leafs lost 4-1. Matthews failed to pick up a point in that game, which is a rarity this year. It seemed like every game he had a point or two.
Yep.
But I think if Matthews plays his game, uses his creativity to get to open ice, have some space, he can have some success.
Awesome. Finally, our Pittsburgh Penguins are going for a three-peat as Stanley Cup champions, which hasn't happened since the 1982 season with the New York Islanders, who actually won 4 in a row.
Yeah.
They host the Flyers in the first round. Who do you like in that matchup?
As you mentioned, I'm a Penguins fan as well. I think I just pack it up and move to Pittsburgh, right?
Let's go.
Get some black and yellow tattoos and call it a day. Look, the Penguins had an up and down season, but they have 2 Stanley Cups in a row. And when you have Crosby, Malkin, Kessel, Matt Murray, and Mike Sullivan behind the bench, you got a chance to make it a three-peat. They've gained momentum since the All-Star break. And players like Sidney Crosby are generational, right? So
absolutely.
He's so gifted. He knows mentally that's playoff time. This is his time to step up, and I think they can do it. 3rd cup in a row. 4th overall, that puts him in the conversation of greatest to ever do it. So.
Dynasty. We're talking about a potential dynasty here, Milo. Well, Milo, thanks for your input. We'll be sure to revisit the NHL playoffs and see where things stand during our next podcast.
Can't wait for it.
All right, guys, so we're at our final NBA or sports segment for the show. So what we're going to do here, guys, let's share our predictions, our NBA playoff predictions. So who we see coming out of the East, who we see coming out of the West, and who we see holding that crown as NBA champions come June.
Or will we see somebody holding down the North?
Right around my birthday. So, Milo, what sayest thou? Who do you predict? Eastern Conference, Western Conference, what's up?
Right, so out of the Eastern Conference, I'm going to go with Mr. I Am King, Mr. My Wife is Queen, and My Daughter is Princess. LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers will be back in the NBA Finals, and they will take on the Houston Rockets, baby.
Is that right?
James Harden, Chris Paul, it's their time. Yeah. Their time to shine. I like the Rockets.
Even if Curry comes back.
Curry could be in a hurry. It doesn't really matter.
Listen, can you smell what the chef is cooking?
Absolutely, right? Remember his father used to play with Glenn Rice? Rice and Curry, baby.
Rice and Curry,
That's
baby.
A spicy combo.
What a combo, absolutely.
But no, I'm going to go with the Rockets and the Cavs. I say the Rockets win in 6 games.
All right. Courtz, what do you think, man?
Well, as much as I love the hometown Toronto Raptors to come out of the East,
you're not picking them. As much as I love you guys. At the end
of the day, we all know what happens when they play King James. They just choke. So I'm going to go with the Cleveland Cavaliers. LeBron James has gone to 7 straight NBA Finals.
Yeah.
This year is going to be his 8th straight NBA Finals.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
All right.
In the West, love my Warriors. But I'm going to have to agree with Milo.
Wow.
This year is time for the Houston Rockets to shine.
They shoot a lot of threes, man.
I see somebody's been looking at my notes.
I mean, the chemistry from CP3 and James Harden that they've developed this season has been fantastic.
Yeah.
Put Capella and the rest of the squad in there. Houston Rockets, Cleveland Cavaliers, NBA Finals.
Quickly, what do you call it when Clint Capella gets fouled on purpose? Hackapella.
Cute, gentlemen. So, okay, you guys are both on the same page.
Yeah.
For me, completely different. Out of the East, and I mentioned this to you guys before, I'll say it live right here. Hometown, baby, the Toronto Raptors. And I'm not even the biggest Raptors fan. You guys both know that. But I think this is the year. I think the Toronto Raptors, from top to bottom, are just the best team in the East. I think they finally get over the hump. Yes, we know they have a history of having a great regular season and really flopping in the playoffs and the whole Kyle Lowry and even sometimes DeMar and whatnot. But I just think this year they finally get it together. Yeah. I think that the Cavs have a lot of question marks, and I mean a lot of question marks. We know what we're going to get from LeBron. Mr. Triple-Double. He's going to step it up in the playoffs. Yep. Right. In fact, I think LeBron's going to be an even better defensive player in the playoffs. He's actually conserved quite a bit of energy during the regular season on the defensive end. So I think we're going to see a different beast LeBron, very scary LeBron in the playoffs. But I just don't think it's enough. I like the Raptors coming out of the East.
As great of a regular season that the Raptors had this year, my personal opinion is if they do not make it to the NBA Finals, this whole season is a huge disappointment.
I would agree. I mean, it's pretty much get to the finals or bust, and they want to finally get over that LBJ hump. You know, they're.
I do want to see it happen. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Raptors guy,
absolutely.
But I just can't see LeBron not going to the finals.
You know why? You know what I want to see happen? I want to see me finish my predictions before without getting interrupted. So back to my Western Conference team, and you guys both like the Rockets, and I like the Rockets as well. In terms of, I mean, I think they're going to make it to the Western Conference Finals, but playing the Raptors in the finals come the month of June, my birthday month, once again, the Warriors, guys, the Dubs. They're going to their fourth straight finals. I know they've had, a lot of injuries, this and that. We're hoping or anticipating anyway that Steph will be back in the second round.
If they get to the second round. Absolutely. I mean,
hey, listen,
not get ahead of ourselves.
Let's keep things in perspective. This is the
Thunder
Warriors
are
we're
lurking.
talking about. From top to bottom, I just don't see any team really beating the Warriors in a 7-game series when they buckle down and play the type of basketball that they've played over the past few years.
Right.
I just don't see it happening, especially with I would even say a fully healthy Steph. We don't know what to expect. Even Steph at 75, 80%, just his presence alone on the court. So that's my prediction. The Raptors against the Dubs come June.
Good luck, gentlemen.
So listen, before we wrap up this segment, let's talk about some sleeper teams, dark horse. Let's all kind of collectively pick one team that, team to look out for, a surprise team, whether it's in the East or the West, a team to kind of look out for that maybe isn't on everybody's radar in the NBA playoffs. What do you say, Milo?
Yeah, I think in the Eastern Conference, I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay.
This is the time for them to finally step up.
Sorry to interrupt you. The best player in the Bucks, pronounce his full name?
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Well,
nice.
Good.
I've been practicing.
Can you spell that?
That's the question.
Give me about 7 minutes for that one. But Milwaukee, they've added Eric Bledsoe. I think that's their time. Jabari Parker's finally healthy. In the West, I'm going to go with that Quinn Snyder dude again. Utah Jazz. Nobody's talking about them. 3rd or 4th seed. They're going to be in a really good position to get all the way to the Western Finals. I think they can make some noise.
Yeah,
good prediction. My big sleeper in the West, OKC Thunder. I mean, these guys have so much talent.
They do.
They barely made it into the playoffs, but now that they're in the playoffs, sky's the limit.
Very bad shooting team.
Anything
Missing
can happen.
Andre Robertson defensively.
But they've added Corey Brewer.
To their credit, I'll say this. They actually do play very well against better competition.
Right.
They play well against the Dubs, very well against the Rockets. So I hear you there. I just don't think they have enough. And there's too much on Westbrook's shoulders, so I don't see it happening. But interesting prediction. Mine, guys, I'll be real quick. I don't have anybody necessarily in the East that I would call a dark horse or a sleeper team. But in the West, I'm going to go with my second favorite team in the NBA. Who's that, Milo? Who's my second favorite team?
San Antonio Spurs.
San Antonio Spurs, baby. This is the team that, nobody's talking about. Obviously, this year is the first time that they didn't win, 50 games, I believe, under Pop. Obviously, Kawhi is out. He's not going to be returning this, that, and the other.
I'll tell you, he'd look good in a Raptors uniform.
Hey, he indeed would. Yeah. But I just like the San Antonio Spurs. I'm not saying they're necessarily going to go to the West, but I think they're going to be a threat, and they're going to play a lot better than a lot of people expect in the Western Conference. So they're not going to be an easy team to play. That's for damn sure. Welcome to the And More segment of Toronto Talk Sports and More. We're very pleased today to be joined in studio by Toronto-based actress, fashion model, and professional dancer, Miss Jenny JC. Jenny, what's poppin'?
Hey, what's going on?
What's happening? What's happening? So it's been a long time, Jenny. Maybe we can start by...
Don't age me.
Oh boy, no, I won't do that, believe me. But maybe we could talk a little bit about our history. This is actually the first time, and thank you once again for being here, joining us in studio. This is our first time really connecting and seeing each other in 10 years. We worked together a decade ago when my wife and I had a fashion jewelry business. And wow, here we are 10 years later. What do you think of that?
Well, thanks.
What have you been up to? What's been going on
Thanks
the
for the
last 10 years? By the way, you look great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Haven't aged a bit.
Thanks,
All right. 24 looks great.
I wish that was real. Anyways,
What's going on?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it has been a whole decade. My goodness. A lot has transpired in terms of, the creative aspect of my life.
All
Still
right.
dancing, still modeling.
Beautiful.
Fashion designing is in the works because I just love fashion from day one. And dancing, so I'm working on having some dance classes started.
Okay. Good.
So yeah,
Keeping
that's
busy.
Yes,
All
definitely.
right. Absolutely. Very nice. So today we're going to talk about the dating scene in Toronto, which is a topic I personally don't have any interest in, but for some reason I've been tagged to lead this segment. So there's a lot of singles out there that are, doing their thing. Some are searching for love. Some are searching just to have a good time, to each their own. Mm-hmm. Now, I know you're no relationship expert, but, we thought it'd be cool to kind of have you on, just share some of your personal experience with us here in studio. And not just with us, but with the entire World Wide Web. 'Cause
Oh my goodness.
everybody's watching, so we're going to get really deep here and personal.
Whoa.
So first things first. Here's the first question we have for you, Jenny.
Sure.
Based on your experience, generally speaking, how has the dating scene changed over the years, and perhaps over the last 10 years? So since I last connected with you in 2008, just from your
boy.
observation, how has the dating scene changed over the last decade?
So, okay, let's say from about a decade ago, I would say for dating and even relationships, I feel that couples were more attentive to each other and it just seemed more genuine.
Okay.
And that's just from outside looking in, having a lot of friends and relationships and things like that. And myself being in relationships, there was
Okay.
just more quality time,
Right.
just a lot more effort.
What role do you think social media and just technology in general perhaps takes away or adds to the whole dynamics of dating?
Well, I feel, there's an easy side to it, but there's also a hard side to, social media. It's such a huge and integral part of our daily lives. And, the easy part, I would say, is that people from around the world can access or, try and contact somebody from overseas. It's so easy to communicate.
Yep, it's very easy to
Right?
connect.
And there's a lot of websites.
It's also very easy to cheat nowadays with
Exactly. That's where I was going to go with that. But there's a lot of
Infidelity.
dating sites now, Plenty of
Yep.
Fish and Tinder and things like that. So I feel
I
that.
have a Jewish friend who uses JDate. Shout out to my boy MP.
Wow, okay.
Oh boy, did I say that out loud?
You just exposed him.
Oh man. So here's another question. Based on, once again, just your personal experience, Toronto men. Let's talk specifically regarding Toronto men. How do they generally approach you? What are Toronto men generally like in terms of their honesty, their sincerity? Let's say, how do they usually approach you?
I feel it really ranges, especially with cultural backgrounds. Not to really categorize, but it just seems like it. Certain races
Is there a particular race that we want to call out live on Toronto Talk Sports and more?
No, because I love everybody the
Oh,
same.
yes,
But I'm just
absolutely.
saying, I think there's some cultural groups that may be a little more aggressive.
Okay. All right.
Versus others,
That are a
some
little
that are a
more
little more
respectful.
subdued and just,
Okay.
laid back and.
Very nice, very nice. So what I want to do, we have a couple of questions left. I'm going to bring in our assistant director on this one, Naomi. Say hi to the people.
Hi, people.
What up, what up, what up? So this is kind of funny. So we're all on social media. There's different memes that generate or circulate from time to time. There's one in particular that I just find hilarious, and we've all seen it before, where it says, "What is the best way to ruin a first date in 4 words?" So I'm going to throw that out to you guys. Actually, I'm going to give my best. I have a few here. I actually have 4 of them. The best way to ruin a first date in 4 words. So I'm going to share what I have here, just some ones that I kind of find funny that I've seen online, and then I'll let you guys kind of chime in. The first one, these are hilarious. Does my breath stink? Number 2. Hide, it's my wife.
Oh, wow.
Number 3, I'm a Trump supporter. So that definitely wouldn't fly well, especially if you're on a first date with, a leftist or whatnot, a liberal. And number 4, you're fatter in person. So all 4 of those likely are things that you probably want to stay away from, and you don't really want to use those 4 lines or those 4 words on a first date. There are a bunch of others, to be quite honest, that I find even more funnier, but they're not necessarily appropriate for this particular platform. What about you, JC? Why don't you go first? What's the best way to ruin a date in 4 words?
I would say, like, especially if you're at a restaurant or something, and it comes to the bill, it would be, I've got a coupon.
Oh, absolutely! I've got a coupon, cheapo.
Yeah,
oh boy.
like you can't afford to go on a date with me.
That would not be good. And first of all, what kind of restaurant are you taking a girl to on a first date that even accepts coupons? Like, come on, what's going on here? That's a good one. Naomi, what sayest thou? How can a guy ruin a first date with you in 4 words?
Good question. It's not contagious.
It's not contagious. 1, 2. So my next question would be, what level of math did you complete?
We can save it. We can save her.
It is not.
It is not contagious. All right, so we're just messing.
It is just a rash.
Mixing the grammar there. All right, good. So thanks, guys. Let's end this on.
Wow.
So guys, let's end this segment on somewhat of a serious note. And I'll actually throw it to you first, Naomi. What advice would you give the younger generation on dating? What advice would you give them?
Well, having a son myself who is almost 21 years old,
Wow.
I definitely would say both genders, just know what you're worth, know your value.
Okay.
Don't compromise on your standards or your beliefs, and anybody who truly wants to be with you, they would have to rise to your standards. Don't lower yourself to theirs.
That was deep. Wow.
Pretty
That
much.
was really good. Well said.
JC, Jenny, what up?
All right. So my advice would be the Kim Kardashian family is not the prime example of a relationship, that you don't need to follow these celebrities in terms of like dating certain races because
Preach it, sister.
they're popular. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not racist at all, but it just has to be said.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, ladies. First of all, Naomi, who once again is our assistant director here in studio. So thanks for joining us and chiming in. Miss Jenny JC, once again, a pleasure to reconnect with you after a decade. Hopefully it won't be another 10 years till we get to, kind of connect in this magnitude. In terms of connecting with Miss Jenny JC, you can check her out on IG, on Instagram at Miss Jenny JC. She also has a YouTube channel, a very fun and engaging YouTube channel, wonderful, very interactive, engaging videos. youtube.com/JennyJC. And you can also connect with her and see everything that she does and everything that she's all about on her personal or business website, which is jennyjc.com. Once again, ladies, thanks very much.
Thank
Toronto
you.
Talk
Thank you.
Sports
Thank you.
and more.
Well, that was great. Thanks again for joining us here, Jenny, and giving us your insight on the dating scene here in Toronto. Guys, what a great first episode. I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, absolutely, Courtz. This was amazing. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening to us. And it's my brother out in Cleveland, Tristan Thompson. Keep it real.
Oh boy, yeah, just like Milo, I just want to thank everyone once again. This has been a long time in the making, Toronto Talk Sports and more. Very, very good show. Couldn't have got off to a better start. I do want to, as we close off, just give a shout out to my children who have been just as excited as me about, this whole, new venture for us. Zaloam, Jerusalem, Shiloh, and Judah. Love you guys.
Some interesting names.
How about a shout out to your co-host?
Indeed. My who?
Well, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in to our first podcast. Once again, if you would like to join us in studio next week for our debate on NBA regular season award recipients, please email us at info@torontotalksports.com. That's info@torontotalksports.com. Email us your name, number, and your award picks, and if you are selected, we will bring you into studio. Toronto Talk Sports and more. For the love of the six, let's connect.
Thank you for tuning into Toronto Talk Sports and more. Please subscribe to our podcast via Apple iTunes or Google Play Store. And stay tuned for new episodes, prizes, and surprises at torontotalksports.com.